My $800 billion project will light up Africa and build a world of pride and power, showing Africa can lead with its own strength.
In the heart of West Africa, nestled among vast deserts and rugged landscapes, lies Burkina Faso, a small landlocked country that has long been overlooked on the global stage. For decades, this nation struggled with poverty, limited resources, and a lack of basic services like electricity and clean water. Many of its people lived in rural villages where darkness fell at sunset, leaving homes without light, schools without power, and hospitals unable to operate life-saving equipment. But today, Burkina Faso is rewriting its story with an extraordinary $800 billion hydroelectric project that could transform not just the country but the entire continent of Africa. This ambitious initiative, led by the visionary Captain Ibrahim Traoré, is more than just a plan to generate electricity. It's a bold declaration of independence, a beacon of hope, and a blueprint for a brighter future. The world is watching in awe as this small nation dares to dream big, proving that Africa can take control of its own destiny and lead the way in innovation, self-reliance, and progress. The scale of this project is staggering. With an $800 billion price tag, it's one of the largest infrastructure initiatives ever undertaken, not just in Africa but anywhere in the world. Critics initially scoffed, calling it impossible for a country like Burkina Faso, with its modest economy and history of challenges, to pull off such a massive endeavor. But Captain Traoré, a young and determined leader, saw things differently. He believed that Burkina Faso's rivers, its hard-working people, and its untapped potential could be harnessed to create something extraordinary. His vision is to build a network of 11 dams along the Mohune River, connected to a smart electric grid that will deliver clean, reliable power to 15 West African countries. This isn't just about lighting homes, it's about powering schools, hospitals, factories, and farms, creating millions of jobs and building a future where every African has the tools to succeed. As workers pour concrete, install turbines, and lay thousands of miles of cables, the dream is becoming reality, and Burkina Faso is emerging as a leader in a new era for Africa. This project is a symbol of hope and defiance. For too long, African nations have been seen as dependent on foreign aid, their resources exploited by others while their people struggled. Traoré's plan challenges that narrative. By partnering with emerging economies like Cuba, Iran, and Brazil instead of relying on Western powers, he's showing that Africa can choose its own path and build its own future. The $800 billion project is a statement that Burkina Faso and Africa as a whole doesn't need saviors. It needs opportunities, infrastructure, and the chance to shine. As the dams rise and the lights come on, Burkina Faso is proving that even a small nation can achieve greatness when it dares to dream big. To fully appreciate the significance of this project, we need to understand Burkina Faso's past. Once known as Upper Volta, the country gained independence from France in 1960, but freedom didn't bring prosperity. The land is mostly dry, with vast stretches of desert and savanna where rainfall is scarce. Farming, which employs most of the population, has always been challenging due to unpredictable weather and limited access to water. Many people lived in poverty, struggling to afford food, clean water, or basic health care. Electricity was a luxury reserved for a small percentage of the population, mostly in cities like Ouagadougou and Bobo-Dioulasso. Even there, power outages were a daily frustration, shutting down businesses, schools, and homes without warning. In rural areas, the situation was even worse. Villages had no electricity at all, forcing families to rely on candles, kerosene lamps, or firewood for light and cooking. These methods were expensive, dangerous, and bad for the environment, producing smoke that harmed health and contributed to deforestation. Children couldn't study at night, limiting their education and opportunities. Hospitals in rural areas struggled to keep medicines cold or run basic equipment, putting lives at risk. For example, a doctor in a remote clinic might have to perform surgery by candlelight, or a family might lose a loved one because a ventilator couldn't run without power. These challenges weren't just inconveniences, they were barriers to progress, keeping Burkina Faso and its people from reaching their full potential. Politically, Burkina Faso faced its share of struggles. The country went through periods of instability, with coups and changes in leadership that made it hard to build a strong economy. Foreign aid helped keep the country afloat, but it often came with conditions that limited Burkina Faso's freedom. For instance, aid might require the country to buy oil or equipment from specific nations, keeping it dependent on outsiders. This created a cycle where Burkina Faso could never fully control its own future. By the time Captain Ibrahim Traoré took power in 2022 after a military coup, many people were frustrated. They wanted change, and Traoré promised to deliver it. He saw electricity as the key to unlocking Burkina Faso's potential, not just for his country, but for all of West Africa. His $800 billion hydroelectric project was born from this belief, a daring plan to break free from the past and build a future where every citizen could thrive. Captain Ibrahim Traoré is not your typical leader. Young, determined, and fiercely patriotic, he came to power with a clear goal: to make Burkina Faso strong, independent, and prosperous. Unlike previous leaders who relied heavily on foreign aid, Traoré wanted to use Burkina Faso's own resources to solve its problems. He looked at the Mohun River, one of the country's largest waterways, and saw an opportunity. Rivers have long been a source of power, from ancient watermills to modern hydroelectric dams. Traoré believed that by harnessing the Mohun's flow, Burkina Faso could generate enough electricity to transform not just his country, but the entire region. The plan was breathtaking in its scope, an $800 billion project to build 11 massive dams along the Mohun River, connected to a smart electric grid that would deliver power to 15 West African countries. This wasn't just about building one or two dams, it was about creating a network of infrastructure that would work together to produce clean, reliable energy. The dams would generate electricity by using the force of the river's water to spin giant turbines, which would then send power through cables to cities, towns, and villages across the region. The grid would be smart, meaning it would use advanced technology to make sure electricity went where it was needed most, without waste or interruptions. The price tag of $800 billion raised eyebrows around the world. Many critics said it was too expensive, too risky, and too ambitious for a country like Burkina Faso, which has a small economy compared to global powers. Some even laughed at the idea, calling it a pipe dream, but Traoré was undeterred. He saw the project as an investment in the future, not just for Burkina Faso but for millions of people across West Africa. He believed that access to electricity was a right, not a privilege, and he was determined to make it a reality. Instead of turning to Western countries for help, he reached out to emerging economies like Cuba, Iran, and Brazil, who sent engineers, architects, and technicians to work alongside Burkina Faso's own workers. These partnerships were a bold statement. Africa could choose its own allies and build its own future, without relying on the same powers that had exploited its resources for centuries. The heart of the $800 billion project is the network of 11 dams along the Mohun River. These dams are engineering marvels, each one a massive structure made of thousands of tons of concrete and steel. Building them is no small task. The Mohun River flows through Burkina Faso's rugged terrain, where the land is rocky and dry. Workers must blast through stone, level the ground, and pour concrete foundations strong enough to hold back millions of gallons of water. The dams are designed to withstand floods, droughts, and other natural challenges, ensuring they can produce electricity for decades to come. Each dam is carefully planned to work as part of a larger system. The 11 dams are spaced along the river to maximize the amount of power they can generate. Water flows from one dam to the next, spinning turbines at each stop. These turbines are like giant fans, powered by the force of the water that create electricity. The dams are also equipped with spillways and gates to control the water's flow, preventing floods during the rainy season and saving water during the dry season. This careful design ensures that the dams can produce power year-round, even in Burkina Faso's unpredictable climate. The construction process is a massive effort that involves thousands of workers, heavy machinery, and cutting-edge technology. Bulldozers clear the land, cranes lift steel beams, and trucks deliver tons of concrete. Local workers are being trained to operate complex equipment, install turbines, and maintain the dams. This is creating a new generation of skilled workers who are proud to be part of something historic. The dams are more than just structures. They're a symbol of what Burkina Faso can achieve when it comes together with a shared purpose. While the dams are the backbone of the project, the smart electric grid is its brain. This grid is like a giant web that will carry electricity from the Mohun River dams to 15 West African countries, from landlocked nations like Niger and Mali to coastal powerhouses like Nigeria and Senegal. It's not just a network of wires, it's a high-tech system that uses artificial intelligence (AI) to manage power in real time, making sure every home, school, and factory gets the electricity it needs. The grid is designed to be smart and efficient. For example, if a city in Ghana needs more power during the day to run its factories, the grid can send extra electricity there. If a village in Togo needs light at night for students to study, the grid makes sure it's available. The AI system balances the load, preventing blackouts and reducing waste. The grid also includes solar panels as a backup, so if one part of the system fails, the power keeps flowing. This is a huge improvement over the old unreliable grids that left people in the dark for hours or even days at a time. The grid will transform daily life in West Africa. In rural areas, families will have light in their homes for the first time, allowing children to read and study after dark. Hospitals will be able to run life-saving equipment like ventilators and X-ray machines without relying on noisy, expensive generators. Businesses will have the power they need to grow, from small shops using digital payment apps to large factories producing goods for export. For example, a trader in a market in Senegal will be able to use a smartphone to sell goods online without worrying about losing power. A farmer in Mali will be able to run irrigation pumps to water crops even during the dry season. This grid is turning electricity from a luxury into a right, giving millions of people the tools to improve their lives. The grid is set to be fully operational by 2030, but parts of it are already coming online. In some villages, lights are shining for the first time, and people are celebrating. Businesses are planning to expand, knowing they'll have reliable power. Across West Africa, the grid is creating a sense of possibility.